Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Daily Dizzle for Friday, January 21st, 2011. We got a lot to cover today. It's going to be a big weekend. After this weekend, we are going to know who the NFL, AFC, and NFC champions are, respectively, and we will know the Super Bowl match 2 weeks from this Sunday. We've got our predictions on those games. In addition to Super Bowl talk, we've got the confirmed commercials that are going to be showing during the big game as well, since a lot of movie companies like to start the hype with the Super Bowl commercial ads. That's why they're so expensive. They're such a good place because, like last year, the Super Bowl did record rating, like the biggest ratings ever, like eclipsing MASH's finale. Granted, it had the New Orleans Saints in their first Super Bowl victory, so there's a big story going into it. This year might not have that kind of big story, but the Super Bowl is always guaranteed ratings, so we will have the commercials that you can expect to see for big movies where you can start planning your year around those. We also got a lot of movie news to cover in addition to the weekend box office preview and the weekly recap from this past week. So let's start with the NFL Championship games. The early game that's going on at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Sunday is, of course, the NFC Championship. You've got the Packers. They're going to be going to Chicago to take on the Bears. It's a great year for both teams. Green Bay have been really looking for a Super Bowl ever since the one with Favre. And now they actually have a team who might be able to make it. Meanwhile, on the Bears side of things, this is the most excited that Bears fans have been since Chris Farley. So, really, though, the Bears do have a tendency to drop the ball eventually. And at this point, I think the young guns of Green Bay are definitely going to pull ahead, especially with Aaron Rodgers. A phenomenal season after what almost didn't look like they were even going to make it to the postseason. At this point, he is just showing that he is the go-to guy, and he might be the one to lead them to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, on the AFC side of things for the championship game, the New York Jets are going to be going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Of course, last time these two teams met in Week 15, Jets were able to seal the win 22-17. But of course, at the time, Pittsburgh did not have their Pro Bowl safety, Troy Polamalu. Apparently, he might be playing this weekend. He's been resting on Wednesdays and Thursdays since the middle of the season due to his injury. And then they get back to work on Friday, so he's ready to go for Sunday. That way he's able to take it a little bit easier and give it time to heal up, though he might not be in perfect condition to be playing. But he wasn't able to make the last game because of this, the last time they took on the Jets. So even though they've got him, I really can't see it making much of a difference, especially the Jets. They want to go to the Super Bowl, and I can see him being very, very ruthless and going right for him and trying to take him out if they know he's already injured. And plus, on top of that, Ben Roethlisberger has not been doing that well. Like last week, they were only able to seal the game in the home stretch. Couple that with the fact that LaDainian Tomlinson's career on the Jets side of things is nearing the end of things, and he definitely wants to make it to a Super Bowl. On top of that, they're riding their wave of momentum from beating the Patriots last week. I really think it's going to be too much for the Steelers to overcome, so I'm picking the Jets to take on the Packers in the Super Bowl this year. Those are my two official picks for the weekend. Last weekend went 3 for 4. If I hadn't gone against the Jets, I really like them, but I had to go with Patriots because Tom Brady is Superman, except he wasn't last week. So we'll check in after the weekend on Monday, and we'll see how our picks went compared to what actually unfolded. But speaking of the Super Bowl, since we will know those teams after Sunday's games, it's time to start talking about it and hyping it up a little bit. Usually it's one of the biggest platforms to advertise movies, and it's going to be no different this year. During the game, Paramount Pictures is going to have trailers for, this is a pretty impressive lineup, Captain America, Thor, Transformers, Super 8, and Rango. Rango is like Johnny Depp in like a Western as a gecko or something like that. I know it's something with him and a gecko, but it looks ridiculously hilarious. Disney Pictures will plug Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Relativity Media will do a spot for Limitless. I have not heard of that movie, so that's the one I don't know so far. And Universal and DreamWorks will have a spot for Cowboys and Aliens, which is going to be awesome. Jon Favreau, who directed Iron Man, is doing it. Pretty much just think of, instead of Iron Man, it's Daniel Craig, James Bond. And instead of like a suit, it's a little alien wrist thing. Like, just think of it, that can do anything pretty much. So, essentially almost like the pulsar gun from Iron Man. But regardless, it's just a little wrist thing, and it's in the West. But then aliens come. And it gets crazy. And plus, I heard Olivia Wilde gets naked in it, so that's always good too. Now, on the pregame side of things, Sony's going to have a spot for Just Go With It and Battle Los Angeles. If you haven't heard of that movie, it's going to be awesome. I think alien invasion coming to Los Angeles and the army having to fight it off. And think about how realistic and awesome it could be pulled off. And then watch the trailer and see how that works for you. On top of that, they'll also have a trailer for Priest, which is going to be coming out the week before. Not uncommon for whatever company has movies that are out at the time to be advertising during it to try and keep momentum going. Though I can't see what having a 2-week-old movie ad is going to do at that point, since after that point, usually the box office starts to drop off. Meanwhile, Focus Features is going to have a spot for The Eagle, and Paramount's going to have another spot for Kung Fu Panda 2. A lot of people are going to be excited about that. Don't understand why they're not going with that during the game instead of like Rango or Super 8, but I'm not the one making decisions for them. So, meanwhile, during the post-game episode of Glee, this is the one I'm most excited about, so I'm going to save it because it's followed up with Paramount having another spot for the Justin Bieber Never Say Never movie. I don't even want to talk about that. Meanwhile, Relativity, they're going to be airing a promo for Take Me Home Tonight. That's the one that I cannot wait to see. That's the one with Topher Grace, set in the 80s, that we've been telling you about. He works at a video store. Essentially could be Tommy Dizzle, the movie from like a year ago. But apparently there was a fight with a lot of the cocaine use in the movie. That's why it was shot like 2 years ago and it just hasn't come out yet because they were waiting for a producer who would not want them to trim out what they thought was essential parts of the story. And Ron Howard, who just did The Dilemma, and he's done, like Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, tons of other epic movies, he was like, no, you guys have to keep that stuff in. You do what you got to do. And now it's finally seeing a release. And not only that, but getting advertising during Glee. So at the very least, maybe that will be some good exposure for it, so Topher Grace will have another hit on his hands. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers and Fox haven't yet locked any slots. Sometimes a lot of the companies will wait till the last minute even to see what spots are open, see if they can get better deals on the Super Bowl commercials. So if there's any more that pop up, we will get to them and we will cover them in the next 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, for the last week at the box office, the Green Hornet has been reigning on top. Its lowest point was Wednesday, where it dipped down to just over $1.5 million, but it's still all right. It can be attributed to a lot of the weather across the country. It ended up making $45 million in its first week, so that's a good thing for Sony and Columbia. We'll see if it has legs to make back its budget in America alone, though it's also doing okay overseas at this point, like we told you yesterday. Meanwhile, number 2, The Dilemma, ended up making just over $23.5 million for the first 7 days. It was kind of under the $1 million mark for the last 2 days, but besides that, it was doing okay. Meanwhile, the 3 through 6 slot goes to all the Oscar movies that are seemingly out at this point, or at least the big ones that are possible Oscar contenders. We'll know for sure once and the nominations are announced. We got King's Speech sitting at number 3 for the week. Its total is just shy of $49.5 million after 8 weeks in release. And it's still making money and will still make money for a little while. So you might have a long shot $100 million movie here, depending on how its legs go, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Black Swan was number 4 for the week. It's sitting at over $77 million after 7 weeks. So an average of $11 million a week isn't too shabby after almost 2 months in release. Number 5, True Grit, ending at $130.5 million after 30 days. So, about a month out, and it's made a ton of money, so Paramount's very happy about that one. Number 6, The Fighter, ended up at $68.5 million after 6 weeks in release, so that's not too shabby as well, making about $11 million a week, just like Black Swan. That's a good thing about the Oscar movies, between all the bumps that you'll get between when they keep expanding to larger and larger amounts of theaters, and then when they really start hyping it, or then when people start seeing them, and even are like, guys, you've got to go see this movie, they'll play forever, and that's why these movies, which have been out for a little while, really starting to storm the chart. Meanwhile, the rest of the slots held between Christmas holdovers and movies that haven't been doing too great. Number 7 goes to Little Fockers. It's sitting at just shy of $137 million after 30 days as well. So the gap between that and True Grit is only getting narrower and narrower. Next week it'll probably be at about $5 million by the end of the week. Meanwhile, number 8, Tron Legacy, still holding in there after 5 weeks in release. It has made almost $160 million altogether. Right now, there is a rumor going around. We can't confirm it or not, but with all the rumors of is there going to be a Tron 3 movie and the confirmation of a TV show, there's a rumor that there might be a trailer or some kind of preview for a Tron 3 on the Tron Legacy DVD release. We'll have more if that's bogus or if it's confirmed in the coming weeks. Number 9 and 10 go to Season of the Witch and Country Strong, respectively. They only opened 2 weeks ago, but they're going to be dropping out of the top 10 this weekend. Season of the Witch has made almost $20 million in those 2 weeks, though, which is pretty impressive considering those movies don't typically perform anywhere near this level. I think it's made more than a lot of those type of movies combined. Country Strong, meanwhile, it's very unlikely that they'll get nominated for anything for Gwyneth Paltrow, but like we said, wait and see. The Oscars haven't been announced yet, so it's still a chance, but it's made shy of $15 million after 30 days, so I don't know how much longer that one's going to be sticking around. Meanwhile, for this weekend, there's only 2 big new releases, really. The Way Back, I haven't heard too much about. I just know it has Colin Farrell in it. That's going to be debuting at 650 theaters, though. It could be considered, some kind of an Oscar contender, or just, a limited release movie that might get bumped up if that's successful. Like I said, I don't really know if I've even seen commercials or any kind of advertisement for it. So we will have to wait and see in the long run. Meanwhile, also in kind of a limited release, I haven't really heard too much about this one either, but it looks like it might be more of an Oscar bait kind of movie. The Weinstein Company putting another limited release out in only 100 theaters. The Company Men, it's got Ben Affleck in it and a couple other names you might recognize from TV like January Jones. Like I said, I haven't heard too much about it, so I don't know if it's something that they're just kind of releasing due to a commitment, or if it's something that they are going to try and put out in the marketplace in the coming weeks. But the only big release coming out is No Strings Attached, coming out in over 3,000 theaters. Of course, that's the Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman Friends with Benefits movie. It's also the first movie from Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman since My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which I bet you didn't see that, because most people didn't. But, of course, because he's been out promoting it, that's why we've had a few rumors of Ghostbusters 3 stuff coming out, though he's kind of been hush-hush on it, more just saying that, at this point, all the rumors you heard before aren't really true. It's just the script is just coming in, so we're just going to have to wait for him and see if he's going to do more talking while out promoting this weekend. But if you need a fix of Ghostbusters in the meantime, if you are a Ghostbusters fan, we've got a few videos. If you type in Dizzlemits Ghostbusters in your search bar when you're done with this, or at any point, you can find at least highlights for Ghostbusters 1 and 2, plus a quote-a-rama from the 2 of them. It's an almost 10-minute video, so check those out if you haven't seen them before when you get a chance. So that's all the time we've got for the Daily Dizzle today. We do thank you guys for joining us as always. If this is your first time, you should keep coming back. We do Monday through Friday updates, and we do at least one during the weekend, usually Saturday night or Sunday early hours. But make sure to come back over the weekend. We'll have something entertaining for you, at least the box office coverage from Friday when the estimates come in, and we'll see what other news we can scrounge up for you as well. In the meantime, if you haven't checked us out before, if you need to catch up on any of the other Daily Dizzles and see what news you've missed out on, you can go to our YouTube channel by clicking the username Dizzlemits, or just go to youtube.com/Dizzlemits. In addition to that, you can check out the archives on there. On top of the Daily Dizzles, we've got some good music video montages like the ones we told you earlier about for Ghostbusters. We've also got ones for Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, Beetlejuice, High Fidelity, 500 Days of Summer, Friday the 13th, Freddy vs. Jason. There's a few outside the box ones that you might not necessarily remember even or haven't seen. Give it a shot and check them out. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and check those out. In addition to that, if you found any of the information useful on today's Daily Dizzle, give us a like. It can only help us. Don't forget to subscribe to us so you can keep up on the latest Daily Dizzles. And we hope that we'll see you over the weekend for the weekend update and back here Monday for the daily updates. For the Daily Dizzle, I'm Tommy Dizzlemits. We will see you then.